This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. The app is simple. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports app today and use code Spotify and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code Spotify on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So, Russ, there's a popular saying in the true crime community. The husband did it. We hear that all the time. Well, in the case I'm telling you today, the cops automatically assumed the husband did it. And we see yet again that jumping to conclusions too quickly can lead to very damaging results. This is the murder of Christine Morton. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband Russ true crime stories and he reacts to them.
What's up, folks? It's your boy Russ, a.k.a. Can I pet your dog?
What's that from?
Somewhere on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I like the other one, though. The kid that comes up to the house and he's like, can I pet your titties?
That one's really funny. That one went viral years ago, I feel like, where the little kid knocks on the door and he says, can I pet your titties? And he meant kitties.
Yeah. But little does he know, he's going to spend his next 80 years of his life trying to pet titties for real. Get used to asking, can you pet these titties, folks?
I feel like me and you say that a lot. We say, can I pet your titties? Sometimes.
But I really mean it.
Well, all right. Well, I'm Jess, and we're back for another episode. So welcome, everybody. We have a lot to talk about because a lot has happened in true crime news this week.
I have something I want to talk about.
Well, I have a few things first. Do you want to go first?
Who put you in charge?
Do you want to go first?
You're not the boss of me.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask for help and send help to all the husbands out there because there's no way I'm the only one going through this.
What?
I'll be sitting on the couch peaceful, playing video games, watching TV. As most guys, their wife's on the phone, scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, chuckling a little, at probably things that aren't funny.
Whatever.
And then they tell you about a TikTok video that's so funny. Mm-hmm. You might give them a fake smirk, a fake laugh, and then she doesn't get the reaction she wants out of you. So now she has to walk over to you with the phone and show you.
So?
For the first maybe 10, 15 times I looked at it, and they were never funny.
That's not true. They are funny.
You didn't come over with a, wind it up. You didn't come over with none of that.
Well, you know that girl already.
Yeah, but you didn't come over with nothing funny, and now she's like, oh, let me show you. And I'm like, no, I'll take your word for it. Just like stay where you're at.
Whatever. I think they're funny, and I want to share my joy. Don't you like joy? Don't you like laughing?
No, don't say that, because I'm always, when I laugh at something, you're like, oh, you're so mature. Like,
you only think something's funny when it's making fun of someone.
But
you don't find goofy things funny.
No, I don't find things you find funny as funny.
Well, whatever. I'm still going to show you my videos.
Like your mom thinks you're funny.
I'm still going to show you my TikToks, and I'm still going to share my joy with you. So you're going to have to get over it.
I'm going to record you showing me TikToks every time.
Okay.
Just so people can see how frequent it is.
Okay, no problem.
But now people always hold me up to this. Like, Russ, it's been 2 weeks. Where are the videos of Jess showing you TikToks?
It's probably not that many. So it'll work out in my favor, I'm sure. Well, I have a few things to talk about because we need to talk about some business. So we get a lot of case suggestions, and typically people send me emails or DM me with their case suggestions. And, you know, I respond, or I'll screenshot them, or I'll even write them on a list. I have like a bunch of handwritten lists all over the place, but it's starting to get to be too much. So I created a form for you to fill out in our link tree that you can suggest your case. So if you go to our social medias at Instagram or Facebook and you go to our link tree, there will be a link that says case suggestions, and then you can go ahead, fill that form out, and then it's in a perfect little list for me, all the case suggestions, and it's great.
Is it on wifeofcrime.com too?
It's not.
All right, so if you don't go there for that,
no, only
Google Wife of Crime Linktree, or go to wifeofcrime.com to get some fly-ass merch.
Yeah, so you can go to wifeofcrime.com for that.
Yeah, because I got some coming for myself. I got to represent. But then, you know, it's kind of weird. It's like you're wearing your own merch. You're kind of corny, but no one knows who I am, except like you guys.
Well, maybe I will try to get it on the website. I have to see if I know how to do that. I'm not very technologically savvy. I'm actually shocked that I have a successful podcast.
We're not at the point where we could send it to our people.
Yeah. No.
Hey, send it to a guy.
Yeah, we don't have people. I am people.
I need a guy, Vinny. Hey, give it to Vinny.
Give it to Vinny. He'll figure it out. But anyway, so yeah, I am having a hard time keeping up with the suggestions. So this is going to be a great way for you to suggest any of the cases that you want to have me tell Russ. So something that a lot of people are talking about is Ryan Murphy, the guy who makes American Horror Story, made the Jeffrey Dahmer show on Netflix.
Which is creepy AF.
It's so creepy. To be honest, I watched 2 episodes, I think, and I haven't watched the 3rd episode because it's so creepy.
I watched them too, and it's not scary. It's just like really eerie and creepy.
Yeah.
Not that I won't finish it. I'll finish it eventually. I think I did 2 episodes, or like 1.5, and I fell asleep.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it is really creepy. And Evan Peters, I think that's his name, Evan Peters. I don't know his name, but he plays Jeffrey Dahmer like in such a scary way. And watching it all play out.
And we did a Jeffrey Dahmer episode.
We did.
But the only thing I really remember about the Jeffrey Dahmer episode is saying since he ate people, like he probably was eating penis burritos.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only thing I remember.
A lot of people commented about penis burrito.
Yeah, or I think I was like, I would tell him eat a dick, but he'd probably like it.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I really remember.
You did say that, too. No, that episode was a while ago. I think we covered Jeffrey Dahmer back in 2019 or 2020. I can't remember, but that episode is called Cocktails and Unshareable Thoughts, if you're interested. But this show really is creepy. And
yeah,
it's getting a good response, though.
Maybe we'll talk about it a little more. We'll see. Maybe we'll take it to Patreon.
Yeah, maybe.
But we already did an episode on it, so it might be a bit redundant. How about that word?
Oh, good word. Well, yeah, it actually was number 1 on Netflix in the entire world. How crazy is that?
In 60 countries, I saw.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
So, you have your review of the week?
Yeah. So, as you guys know, every week, write us a review. Not every week. If you wrote one already. But if you haven't written us a review, go over to Apple. I find review of the week, and I read one, and keep it funny.
Keep it funny.
And not too long.
Not too long. These are your stipulations.
Yeah. All right. So, this week is from Deebles. Where have you been all my life? 5 stars. I've been listening to true crime podcasts for several years now, and somehow I missed this one. Oh my God, I'm so glad I finally found it. I don't get how people cannot love Russ. Me neither. He kills me. I have been quoting him at work, and my coworkers love it. I do work from home, and my coworkers are a pug and a cat. But man, they get it. Jess is the best. The pug really loves her.
Aww.
I can't recommend this podcast enough. P.S. I am recommending you to humans.
Oh, that one's a good one.
So that was pretty good. Shout out to your pug and cat.
I know. I wonder what their names are. Tell us what their names are.
Yeah, I wonder if they're friends. Send us a picture on IG.
Yeah, send us a picture.
So everyone knows we have a Patreon where there's a bunch of bonus content and ad-free episodes if you're tired of ads.
Yes.
But shout out to all people that sponsor us. They're dope.
They are dope.
And you get like bonus content. You could get Jess's scripts over there.
Mm-hmm.
You can get
a magnet,
cup, a refrigerator button,
aka magnet,
and a shout out. So the people that joined this week are Melanie, Andrea, Myra, Irene, Jennifer, Nancy, Catherine, Stephanie, Nikki, Oscar, April, Melissa, Marissa, Shaunika, Jamie, Brandon, Jessica, and Jessica with an H.
Jessica.
So is that like Jessica? Like, how do you do that?
Jessica. Well,
That's like my Jess's laugh.
well, there's a lot of Jessicas
cheers
in
to you
this
guys.
world. Cheers, guys. There's a lot of Jessicas. It was a very popular name in the 80s.
So she's probably around your age.
Yeah, she's probably around my age, I would say. It was a very popular name in the 80s. When I was growing up, I had 6 Jessicas in my elementary school class.
Someone told me very recently, a few weeks ago, met my sister at like some beach club bar or something. And some girl was talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked me what my name was, whatever. I told her it was like Russell. She knew my sister. And she was like, that's a weird name. Like, she never heard of it.
Well, Russell was a popular name in like the 70s, I feel like.
And I was like,
it's not popular anymore.
it's uncommon, but I don't think it's weird, like a made up name that you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you named your kid Wallpaper or something, you know.
Something like that.
Yeah. So I just think it's uncommon.
Yeah, it is.
And it isn't like
uncommon.
hard to say or anything.
No, but you were named after your grandfather, so it is like an older name for sure. It's like Dorothy. No one's named Dorothy anymore, or Dolores. Those are all old names.
Yeah, most of the Dorothys and Dolores are probably in nursing homes.
Yeah, they're older. Oh,
I like hanging out with old people at casinos. That's my thing.
me too. They're so fun.
Yeah, but then there's always the old dude trying to hit on Jess.
He doesn't have a chance.
They always tell her she looks way younger than she is. That's the way. Guys, all right, fellas, if there's anyone here listening, once you get a little older, when you're young, don't do this. It won't work.
Yeah.
Girls want to look older. But just once you're in your 30s or 40s,
Yeah.
and a girl tells you the age, like, oh my God.
I thought you were in your 20s.
You were, yeah, and then it works for Jess every time. Every dude that comes into the hospital, guarantee tells her that.
Everyone, all the old men. I love it. I mean, I have a special place in my heart for really old men. They're so cute. But when they tell me how young I look, it's like, oh, thank you. It makes me feel so good.
But it's also like, I think I look young until I see a high school student.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
So
they're like
true.
17. I'm like, fuck, you're 17?
Yeah.
I'm 100.
They look like children, like little tiny kids.
Yeah, and I thought I was like,
Really looking good.
well, I was looking good for 17. When I was 17, I thought I was like big in high school.
Yeah.
I was probably about the same height though, but I was probably 30 pounds less.
It's so true. When you're in your 20s and end of high school, you really feel like you're old. And then you turn close to 40 and you're like, damn, I was so young.
I know. I mean, 29 is doing me good though.
Yeah, it is. All right. So the big news this week that we have to discuss, inquiring minds would like to know.
Your boy Nan.
Adnan Syed's conviction was overturned. If you don't know Adnan Syed's case, I highly suggest you go listen to Serial Season 1 or go and listen to the Undisclosed podcast. What might be a good idea is to listen to Serial first and then go listen to Undisclosed, because Undisclosed goes way deeper than Serial did. And I'm not going to go through all the details of the case here.
I remember liking Serial.
Yeah, you liked it. But
I don't really remember what happened.
I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Is this a test?
Number 1.
Don't test me.
Do you, based on first of all, do you know the evidence presented that the prosecutor found that caused his conviction to be overturned?
there was a dude named Jay that said he did it.
No, he didn't.
That ain't it?
Jay did not say he did it.
Someone said he did it and they showed him the body.
Wait, no. Hold on. We're misinterpreting each other.
No, I listened to not a recap, but I listened to you sent me an episode of Serial,
I
the
sent
update
you,
one.
Yeah, the update.
But I listened to 5 minutes of it.
Oh, great. So you don't know. Okay.
But didn't he say they show Adnan, whatever, I don't know his name, showed him the body?
Yes, but that's what he told the cops originally.
Yes, that's what I just said. And you said, no, he didn't say that.
Because I asked you what the evidence was that made them overturn the conviction.
Oh, that overturn.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you say that. Someone rewind about 30 seconds to see if she said overturn.
I did say that, yes. So do you know the evidence the prosecutor found?
I think it was that they had two other suspects that they didn't question and they didn't disclose it to the defense.
Exactly, but that's not the only reason. Not only did they have two other suspects that they questioned multiple times, one of the suspects had to take multiple polygraphs because they were unsure about this person. The other suspect had family members living in a part of Baltimore, and Hayes' car was found behind these family members' house. So another thing that they found was that the cell phone records were really inaccurate. So a huge part of the original case that the DA provided was that his cell phone pinged in the area where she was getting murdered around the time she was getting murdered. But we know now, years and years and years later, that that's actually very inaccurate. So that's another thing the prosecutor brought up. First of all, there are these two suspects. The car was found behind one of the suspect's family members' house. The phone pinging was very inaccurate.
But if you listen to Serial, they brought that up in the podcast.
Oh, yeah, they did.
How inaccurate back then the pings are. I don't know how accurate they are now.
No, I don't know. But they did bring that up in Serial. So this lady just confirmed that it's kind of junk science, that you can't really use that as
like
evidence.
Polygraphs.
Yeah, exactly. And now another big thing was one of the suspects, the original suspects, he had threatened to kill Heyman Lee.
Why? Were they boyfriends?
No, Heyman Lee was the girl.
No, I mean, was they boyfriend and girlfriend?
No.
So why did he?
We don't know all the details yet. They haven't released all that, but the prosecutor made it clear that this person had threatened to kill her before. And that's another huge part of it. So with all of these new things, it's clear that a Brady violation occurred. And a Brady violation is when the prosecution has information but doesn't disclose it to the judge or the defense. So now the defense can't properly defend against these accusations because they have all this information that they're hiding. So that's why his conviction got overturned. My other question to you is, we all know that he should have never been convicted in the first place because his case was like an amalgamation of everything wrong with our justice system, right? It was like just everything that could go wrong.
Hey Siri, what does amalgamation mean? Amalgamation means the action of process uniting or merging two or more things.
So it was a multiple thing, like everything that could go wrong in our justice system went wrong in his case, right?
Yeah.
So we know he should have never been convicted. But for some reason, you are very staunch and set on the fact that you think he's guilty.
Not really.
No, you have been.
I feel like he's probably guilty, but
wait. You've had this since you listened to Serial in 2014, before we ever even dreamt of having a true crime podcast. You made it very clear to me that you think this. And I've always been on the fence, waxing and waning, never sure exactly how I felt. Why do you feel this way? I'm giving you your little time to talk about it.
You don't gotta grant me time, because as people know that don't like me on this podcast,
you'll interrupt.
I will take my time.
Okay. So
I got time today, cuz.
So why?
So I don't know why.
You don't know why?
He just was cool with being in jail. Right away, he was like, "Well, I guess I'm in jail."
So that's what you picked up on, is the way he spoke about being in jail.
He was cool with being in jail, and he just seemed very nonchalant, like, all right, if this is what it is, I'm here.
Don't you feel like after appealing and appealing and appealing your case and being in jail for 15 years with no hope of getting out, you may lose hope over time? You may become institutionalized and comfortable being in jail?
Well, there was obviously hope of getting out, because look what happened.
No. There was no hope at one point. He got denied all of his appeals.
But now he has documentaries, and that probably helped. You know what? I was never that adamant about him being guilty. If I was on a jury, I would be like, he's guilty. But it was like, yeah, I think he's probably guilty.
But why?
I don't remember the facts.
So
I just remember thinking.
You just like to troll. So essentially, you spent the last 6 years in this house trolling me.
Yeah, he's still guilty.
See, that's the thing.
All right. My thing on it all was, he probably did it, but there wasn't enough evidence to lock him up, so he should have never been in jail.
Okay.
So that's how I felt.
All right. Well,
and why do I think he's guilty? I got a feeling.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. And the only person, not the only person I feel bad for, but is, what is his name? Haley?
Hae-Min Lee.
Hae-Min Lee. I feel bad for her and her family. And if Adnan was innocent, then I'd feel bad for him too. But I don't know.
Well, sadly, her brother did speak at the trial through Zoom because they didn't give him enough notice for him to show up to the trial. He lives in California now. And so he called in through Zoom. And to be honest, that was really sad to see what he said to the judge. You know, he told the judge that for the last 20 years, their family thought that the right person was in jail. And something that's very interesting is that family, Hayes' family, sat through the entire trial. They watched all of it unfold. They thought he was guilty. And they all thought he was guilty. And
there's something to that.
They really believed it. They believed that justice was served. And now this is just like completely turning their world upside down. And now her case is unsolved. It's back to being cold at this point.
I wonder if they want to try Adnan again.
So he may still be retried. They have 30 days because they sent off a bunch of DNA evidence and they're waiting for certain things to come back. And they have 30 days to build their case and they could retry him. I'm pretty sure they might, especially if certain things come back more in the favor of the original conviction, then they might try him again.
Wouldn't that be crazy if they let him out and then they get stone cold DNA evidence that it was him?
So
who was the dude that said Adnan told him he did it?
Jay.
That's what I said, yeah.
So Jay is a very sketchy character, in my opinion. Jay Wilds is his name. And he changed his story multiple times, over and over again with police. He changed details many times, but he did say that Adnan showed him the body, and Jay was the only person who knew where the car was. And that's a huge thing that sticks in my head because cops looked for her car for weeks, but Jay knew where the car was.
You know what I think I remember saying, but I don't remember why.
Mm-hmm.
I remember saying that if Adnan didn't do it, he knows more than he's leading on to, I felt.
Yeah, you did say that. That Adnan may not have done it, but he knows who did, or he knows more about it than anybody else. You did say that.
But you know what? I don't remember why I said that.
Well, it was a long time ago. We all know your attention span is short, so.
Well, yeah, because it wasn't that intriguing.
It wasn't. It was super intriguing to me. It literally started my obsession with true crime podcasts, this case. And I'm from Baltimore, so for me, this was huge because I remember when this happened, because I was in high school at the time.
Just Serial was so well done.
It was. It was so well done. So we're not here to debate whether he's guilty or innocent, because to be honest with you, the only people who know is God, Adnan, and Hae-Min Lee. Honestly.
Which God?
Any of them. They all of them know. So we don't know for sure, but it was overturned. And, you know, Marilyn Mosby, she said, justice over convictions. And the problem with our justice system is a lot of prosecutors and police, you know, they just don't have that in their mind when they're prosecuting a case.
I agree with that.
And it should always be about justice.
Yeah, it always seems that they just want a conviction and they don't necessarily care if justice is being served. And that's really wrong.
I don't think it's always like that. I think that in true crime, we highlight those cases. Those cases come up a lot because they're interesting to talk about. But it does happen. But there are a lot of prosecutors who do a good job. There are a lot of prosecutors who put the wrong people, who put the right people away. And there are some that put the wrong people away. What do they call that, a
Freudian slip?
No, but there are some that are not good at their job, that are just looking to convict. But they aren't, it's not everyone.
And that can get you to high places nowadays.
It can, definitely. So, in conclusion, we will see what happens. I made multiple TikToks about this. I will keep everyone updated on TikTok about this case. We'll never devote an entire episode to this case because Sarah Koenig and the Undisclosed podcast both did such an amazing job covering it that if you want to know all the details, just go there and listen. But I do think that this is very interesting.
Follow him on IG, folks. As soon as he makes his IG and say, if you're going to talk to anyone, talk to Wife of Crime.
Okay.
I don't know what I would talk about. I don't got any questions.
Yeah, you don't even know the case anymore.
We'll have a beer. We'll relax.
Okay.
And we'll chop it up.
You guys already know because we have been talking about them for a while now. Via Hemp is by far one of our favorite sponsors we've ever had, okay? We use their products all the time. Maybe you're a little like me. You're a little anxious. You have a hard time settling down. You're kind of wound up a lot. If that's you, Via Hemp products are for you. Check out their website. You will find something that speaks to you. Maybe you're like Russ. You have a hard time sleeping because you have bad nerve pain or chronic pain. Then Via Hemp is for you because their gummies will help you get some quality sleep. Maybe you're looking to have a really good time. Maybe you just really like edibles. You want to laugh. You want to get the munchies. You want to watch a movie and have a really strong belly laugh. Then Via Hemp products are for you, okay? They're literally for everybody. So head over to viahemp.com, promo code wifeofcrime1 to get 15% off your first order. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Wife of Crime #1 for 15% off your first order. Last year, Save More Money was the most popular New Year's resolution in America. Clearly, a lot of us feel like our money is slipping through our fingers. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not the best saver, and I don't know much about investing until I started saving and investing with Acorns. Turns out you don't have to be an expert at all because Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. And I always thought that when people say, ooh, I invest in stocks, that they had a ton of money or something. Well, you don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you invest with the spare money you've got right now. You can literally start with $5. And you know you guys are spending that at Starbucks on these fancy lattes. So skip the coffee and invest with Acorns. You don't even need a ton of time. Like you can just sign up and start investing within 5 minutes. Head over to acorns.com/wifeofcrime or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. That's acorns.com/wifeofcrime. Well, you know me, and I just love a good theme. I'm all about themes, okay?
No one's more themey than Carrie.
True. Your sister is very themey. She's more themey than me.
Oh, my God. 100%. Give her a reason to just wear a special color from head to toe, and she's in.
So true. But I also love a good theme. And because Adnan Syed's conviction was overturned, I wanted to tell you a case that happens to have some similarities to Heyman Lee and Adnan Syed's case.
I smell a wrongful conviction.
Possibly. We'll see. So this story is another example of prosecutors and cops sticking with a narrative and not wavering or looking beyond their initial assumptions about the people involved in the murder. This, sadly, like we said, happens a lot. But this case is very important in that it would eventually change the law in Texas. This case alone changed a very huge law in Texas. And if other states adopted the same law that this case evoked, we just might have more transparency and can truly have justice over convictions. So this is the murder of Christine Morton. Are you ready?
Yep.
Michael and Christine Morton met in college. They were in the same psychology class. Michael said that the first day that he saw Christine, his roommate at the time was actually trying to hit on her, but she was not interested at all. She showed the roommate like she just was not picking up what he was putting down. So Michael swooped on in.
Curious, we got to see a picture of both of them, see which is more handsomer.
Well, it's not even just about being handsome. I think she just didn't like the way he was, approaching her.
Could be your shoes, too. Shoes are important, fellas. Make sure you wear good shoes.
That's true. So Michael decides to shoot his shot.
No Skechers. If you're wearing Skechers right now, folks, it's a fashion crime. I've been seeing a lot of people in Skechers. And you know what everyone says that wear Skechers?
They're really comfortable.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
They are.
You could be comfortable and stylish.
They are comfortable.
You got the big S on your sneaker, standing for super stupid.
No. Skechers are comfortable.
I'll never know.
Yeah, you'll never know.
I rather not have feet.
It's because you're such a brand whore.
I'm not a brand whore.
Yeah, you are.
Well,
with sneakers, you are.
Nah, I'll wear New Balance, I'll wear Adidas, I'll wear Nikes.
They're all really good brands.
I have some Reebok pumps. But stop wearing Skechers, folks. Get out the outlet.
Well, get out the outlet. Russ the stylist speaks. Okay. So Michael decides to shoot his shot. And it worked. He said Christine was super smart. Way more outgoing than him. He was a little bit of he was a little shy, a little bit of an introvert, kind of antisocial. But Christine, on the other hand, she could talk to anyone and immediately made people feel super comfortable around her. So after dating for a while, Michael decided he wanted to move to Austin. And he invited Christine, who was like, sure, let's do it. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of me and you.
Yeah.
When we first started dating, because when we first started dating, you really wanted to move to Las Vegas. And we'd only been dating for a few months. And you asked me if I wanted to go with you. And I said, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. And someone just told me you make a lot of money there. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't get cold. And you make a lot of money bartending.
Yep.
And fuck it, I'm in.
And we were going to go. We saved up money to go, but then we ended up buying a house.
Yeah, we got an opportunity to buy a house. And then...
so we didn't go.
Yeah, we weren't even saving that much. It was probably like $5,000. And we was like, oh, we'll take $5,000, go figure it out.
Yeah. It was interesting. That would have been a very interesting story. But we didn't end up going. But they did. They ended up packing everything they had, left their college, and moved to Austin. So they assumed that they would be able to transfer credits to a college in Austin, but things didn't really work out that way. So instead, they just both got full-time jobs, and they decided later down the road, one of them will go to school and then the other one will go to school.
Colleges are crooks, man. Obviously, you should accept those credits. Mm-hmm. They just want to charge you freaking $40,000 a year for going to school or whatever.
It's true. Yeah,
go to community college.
Sham.
Once you have experience, no one gives a shit where your degree is from.
Yeah, for real. So Christine ended up getting a job in insurance sales, and Michael started managing a supermarket. And neither one of them ended up going back to college because they were doing just fine. They were making enough money, and they were super happy. They got married, and friends of the couple, and even Michael himself, said that they had this very authentic, honest relationship. They weren't afraid to tell each other what they thought. So if they had an issue with one another, they weren't afraid to say it. Their relationship was very open and honest, and they always had really good communication. And this is what a lot of people said made their relationship really healthy because they always were out in the open with their feelings.
That's like you.
That's like me. Yes.
You never be quiet.
I'm never the girl that says I'm fine if I'm mad.
Guys,
never.
Right. So
I'll tell you why I'm mad.
There's a lot of you out there that you ask your wife how she's doing. She's like, I'm fine. And you're like, oh, I wish she would tell me.
No, I'll always
You don't wish that, fellas. I used to think that too. But she will tell me everything and never just let anything pass.
Oh, well.
Hashtag bring back I'm fine.
Well, people did say that this couple, Christine and Michael, that they bickered a lot. And they bickered a lot because the two of them are very opinionated. And like I said, they weren't afraid to tell each other what they thought. Eventually, the couple had a son named Eric. When Eric was born, they found out that he had a congenital heart defect and would need heart surgery. But surgeons wouldn't perform the surgery until he was 3 years old.
Imagine, that's crazy how little the heart is, and they gotta
And they do it now earlier.
That's crazy.
They do it earlier now, but this is the 80s, by the way. This is back in 1986, I think.
I was just about to ask you, when was this?
Yeah, so they wanted to wait until Eric was 3. So for the first 3 years of Eric's life, the couple was very on edge. Eric needed to be monitored super closely, and he was on lots of medication. He would sometimes pass out and turn blue because he wasn't getting enough circulating oxygen because of his heart defect.
Can they put a mask on him or something?
No, he would be okay, but this freaked them out. They're always on edge. They have to monitor him constantly. And it was incredibly stressful on the couple, individually as well as their relationship with one another, because now their focus completely shifted to just keeping this baby alive until he was 3. So for the first 3 years, like I said, their sole focus is keeping their son alive. And of course, this caused a little bit of a strain, but they were in it together. They were a team, and they pushed through. Finally, when Eric turned 3, he was cleared for surgery. So he made a full, amazing recovery after his surgery.
Wow.
And the couple could finally breathe. Like, they felt like they were holding their breath for 3 years.
So was the kid.
And so, yeah, exactly. And so they could finally breathe for the first time in 3 years. They started to settle into a routine, working and sending Eric to daycare. So Christine would drop him off in the morning, and Michael would pick him up in the afternoon. And life just became almost mundane, almost boring. After 3 years of just being stressed out, now it was kind of boring.
I guess, yeah, they were always on edge.
Yeah.
And now you get into the boring routine of going to work, picking your kid up, and then you just rinse and repeat and just keep doing that every day. We have the weekends, that's it.
Yeah.
So we all fall into that. Like, I go to work, I go to sleep, I go to work, I go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I come home on the weekends, I get maybe one bike ride in, and I podcast, and I recycle that again.
Yeah, a lot of us go through that.
But not that I don't like podcasts, and I just don't like work.
Yeah. Well, Michael says that their family was excruciatingly average. The most average family. No drama. Like, after the surgery, it was just routine.
Shopped at Costco.
Yeah. On the weekends. Well, everything was going great. The boring was actually great. They were really happy to have it.
Oh, I envy people that are happy with the boring.
Oh, yeah. They were happy. And they were calm for the first time in a while. So in August of 1986, Christine, Michael, and 3-year-old Eric all go out to dinner to celebrate Michael's birthday. When they got home, they put Eric to bed and Michael jumped in the shower. He came into the bedroom expecting some sexy time with his wife. He even put a porn in the VCR, trying to help them get into the mood, get a little frisky.
He put it in. He had to fix the tracking because, it got a little fuzzy, and you got the tracking button
Probably.
to try to get it back leveled out.
Well, while homeboy was trying to get that all set up, Christine fell asleep. And Michael had to be up early for work. So he just laid down next to her. And after a couple hours, Christine rolls over because she wakes up in the middle of the night. She kisses her husband and she says, "I'm so sorry." And he said, "It's okay. We both have to work in the morning. We can try again tomorrow night." This would be the last time he sees his wife alive. So the next morning, Michael got up and he went to work. But before he left, he wrote Christine a note because, like I said earlier, the two of them were very open with each other about how they felt. And they weren't afraid to confront one another when they had, some feelings about something. So the note he left right on the vanity in the bathroom pretty much just said he was a little disappointed that they didn't have sex, that he missed being intimate with her. They had been so stressed out over their son for so long, and he really wanted to reignite the fire that they had with each other. But although he was disappointed, he ended the note with, "I love you, and I'll see you tonight." Later that afternoon, Michael went to Eric's daycare to pick him up. But the daycare worker was super confused. She was like, Your wife never brought him this morning. So Michael immediately knew something was wrong because this was totally out of their routine.
Yeah.
He called the house and a man answered the phone. It was the sheriff. He says to Michael, you need to get home right away. So Michael knew there was something really bad going on. He immediately rushed home and he was greeted with crime scene yellow caution tape and multiple police cars. He ran in and was told by the sheriff that his wife is dead. He said it very frank, just like that. Your wife is dead. Michael asked...
In the house?
Yes. Michael asked, was she murdered? And the sheriff said yes. Michael asked to see her body because in his mind, he wanted to see it for himself. Like he almost didn't believe it.
Yeah.
But the officers wouldn't let him. Christine was found in her bedroom, in the bed, bludgeoned to death in the head. So she was struck in the head multiple times with an object. There was blood everywhere. Neighbors called police after they heard 3-year-old Eric crying and screaming. We would find out later that little Eric witnessed the whole thing.
And he's 3.
3. On top of automatically...
Can a 3-year-old talk?
Of course.
You're saying of course. I don't know. That's why I asked
yes,
questions.
3-year-olds can talk.
Yeah, but I also thought... I don't know a lot about kids. I also thought once a kid can walk, they walk to the toilet. But then I saw kids walking around with diapers on. I was like, why wouldn't they? Or like once a kid's pooping in the corner, squatting, looking around, make sure no one's looking at them.
Why don't they just poop in the toilet?
Yeah, instead of like mushing it on their butt.
Well,
because their brain works, obviously. So that's why
3-year-olds...
I obviously don't know nothing about kids. I don't know when they start talking.
3-year-olds can talk. Usually kids start talking around 1, around that time.
So they poop on themselves while they can talk and walk?
Yeah.
What? That's for real?
Yes.
What is wrong with these kids? They could talk. That's terrible.
All right, let me get back to the story. So, anyway, we would find out later that little Eric witnessed the whole thing, but we don't know that yet, and police don't know that yet. So, on top of automatically assuming that the husband did it, like so many times cops, and we assume it's the spouse, right? On top of that, police did not like that Michael immediately asked if his wife was murdered. To them, that was weird. Why would you ask that?
I don't think so.
I actually agree with you. I think that's not weird at all. They also found the note that he left her on the bathroom vanity. And they found semen stains on the bed.
Bro, he lives there. If you have a wife, there better be semen stains in your house.
Well, they focused in on Michael, and he became their prime suspect very quickly. Michael says he thought, like most people do, that like if you just tell the truth, everything will be fine. He fully cooperated with police. He even took 2 polygraphs, which he passed.
Well, I wouldn't take those.
Well, he did, because he was just trying to cooperate. His wife is dead.
You know what I would hit cops with?
He's distraught.
Polygraphs. If someone ever asked you to take a polygraph, everyone knows what I tell you to say. Eat a dick.
Okay. Well, he didn't. He cooperated, with police the whole time. So a couple days after the murder, police show up to the house and they arrest Michael for the murder of his wife, Christine. They took his son from his arms. Eric is screaming and crying for his daddy. They just take him away from his dad and give him to some neighbors. At this point, this poor child must have been so traumatized. You see your mom be murdered, and now you're seeing your dad get taken away from you, and police arrest him and take him.
Yeah.
He says, I had no idea what happened. So this presented a challenge to his defense team because they had no idea how to come up with a defense for him. All he says is, I don't know what happened. I went to work and that's it. I don't know who it could have been. We have no known enemies. We are so average. Who would kill my wife?
But how could they prosecute it in the same way with no evidence? Obviously, his DNA's all over the house.
Well, I'm going to tell you now. Prosecutor Ken Anderson was the district attorney, and this was the biggest case of his career at the time. DA Anderson came across as a very legit prosecutor, and he had a reputation of being really, really good. The community trusted him. So Anderson's theory of why Michael killed Christine was this. This is what he presented at trial. He said it was Michael's birthday. and he was angry at his wife for not having sex with him. He said he murdered his wife because he was full of rage after feeling rejected. He used the fact that she was beaten in the head, almost like a crime of passion, and the fact that there was a porn in the VCR and semen stains on the bed and the note that they found. That's the stuff they used to make the jury think that this guy was rejected and he was pissed off about it.
I can see why they say that, but that's not evidence to me.
This was their case, though. That's it.
That's it?
They had no forensic evidence presented to support this claim.
So then they should have this trial had to be about 10 minutes. All we got is a video in here. He left a note. He was angry. All right, defense, what do you got? And they're like, he didn't do it. He doesn't know what happened. Okay, jury, go to the back and decide.
Well, one thing that they did bring was the medical examiner. They brought the medical examiner in, and he said that she must have died between the hours of 1 a.m. and 5:30 a.m.
He was home.
Because she had undigested food in her stomach. So this has now been found to be pretty unreliable in general, okay? They used to use this a lot. It's almost now considered a junk science. But for many cases, they use undigested food as a way to determine time of death. In the JonBenet Ramsey case, they use this as well. But now that we know more and science has grown, we know that this is not accurate because everyone takes different amount of times to digest their food. So the amount of time you take to digest food is not the same as me. And that's evident in the fact that you say you're hungry about every hour.
Well, yeah,
because you digest food very quickly.
Well, if you ask me, she'll be like, I just ate. She'll be like, are you hungry? You want to go eat? And I'm always like, I could always eat.
Yeah, so you digest food very fast.
Someone tell me to stop eating because I need to lose like 15 pounds.
Well, they've decided that this is now a junk science and it should not be the only determining factor when deciding the time of death. But at the time, in the 80s, they believed that this was scientific fact. And the medical examiner said that the murder occurred at 1:30 a.m., which puts Michael in the house. So that's what the jury heard.
Then that
they
would
see
be
this
it.
expert. They have no other suspects. The defense doesn't bring anybody else to the table. And this expert sits up there and he says she was murdered at 1:30 a.m. That was her time of death. So the jury believed it.
And Michael says he was home at 1:30 a.m.
Yep.
So that's it. It's over.
Exactly.
We would all believe him. And that's why back in the day, I say there was no science.
Well, there was science. It was just, we've grown and we've learned. Science is always evolving. So Michael took the stand in his own defense because honestly, they had nothing else, right?
So I know what he did. He got up on the stand, he pulled a Shaggy, and he just said, it wasn't me.
Exactly.
That's all you got.
That's all he had. It's so true.
There was blood on the counter. Wasn't me.
Yeah, no, he literally did. He just kept saying it wasn't him. They said it was a random act of violence and that the killer is still out there. So now you have to think from a jury's perspective. I mean, I'm not saying that this is right. I'm just saying from a jury's perspective, it's easier as a person that's determining a case like this to think, oh yeah, well, let's lock him up, get him off the street. He's a bad person. They don't want to think that there's a killer out on the loose randomly attacking women and killing them in the streets. So the jury, they believed everything that the DA was presenting. The lead investigator was a detective named Don Wood, and the defense team assumed that he would be called as a witness because that always happens. They always call the lead investigators and the cops on the case as witnesses in these murder trials. But the DA didn't call Don Wood as a witness, so that means that the defense didn't have access to the investigation reports. So they couldn't cross-examine him, and they couldn't see any of his reports. Due to the fact that defense did not present an alternate suspect, and the only defense was, it wasn't me, the jury found Michael guilty of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison. Michael said he was completely stunned. Like, he did not see it going in that direction because he still believed when you do the right thing, you end up on top. He didn't realize that he could actually go to jail for his wife's murder when he didn't murder her.
Yeah.
So when the verdict was read, Michael fell into his chair because his knees buckled because he was in so much shock.
What's funny is that kind of makes me believe him if I see it and it looks like it wasn't an act.
Yeah, and he was very visibly upset, crying, and he fell onto the chair. So he was determined to prove his innocence and immediately planned to appeal his conviction. His son was living with his grandparents, and this is when Michael's mother found out that Eric had witnessed the murder of his mom. When his grandma asked if Daddy was there, Eric said no. Very strongly, he said no, it was a monster.
Ooh.
Okay. Sadly, however, Christine's sister...
That's scary.
Yeah. Christine's sister believed Michael did this and fought for custody of Eric and eventually won full custody of little Eric. She would talk bad about Michael to Eric over the years, and the visits from Eric became less and less frequent. Eric started believing that his father was guilty as well because as he's growing up, he's with,
someone
Christine's
who thinks
sister who's telling him these things. And when you're 3, try to remember things that happen when you're 3. It's really hard to remember, and it's kind of jumbled, and it almost feels like, was it a dream? Was it not a dream? Especially the older and older you get.
And it's funny, as we get older, and something I found out is that a lot of our memories are fake.
Yeah, a lot of our memories are us filling in the blanks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So after about 10 years of being locked up, Michael was transferred to a unit called the Ramsey Unit. And about this time, when Eric was around 12 or 13, he told his father he didn't want to visit him anymore, and he stopped going to see him, which was like
he
a stab in the heart.
Someone that it wasn't his dad, but he probably doesn't remember that anymore.
Yeah, he told his grandmother when he was 3 that it wasn't his dad; it was a monster.
So does the grandma still believe that it wasn't?
Oh yeah, for
Michael?
sure. Yeah, because that's his son. That's her son, and she believes him.
And the aunt, is that the mom's sister?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So after about 10 years of being locked up, Michael was transferred to a unit called the Ramsey Unit, and it was a horrible facility that was incredibly outdated. And the prisoners worked on a chain gang, and they dug in fields all day in the hot Texas sun. It was like hardcore manual labor. He was 44 years old when he was transferred here. And he said he thought he was in good shape until he got transferred there. And it was just excruciating work, hours and hours a day, every single day. And this caused him to sink into a bit of a depression because his son didn't want to see him anymore. He'd been locked up at this point for about 10 years. He didn't have hope of getting out.
And you're basically a slave
and
now because you're on a fucking chain gang.
Exactly.
Can you refuse? Because in America, they're not allowed to whoop you, even though they might.
No, he's in an agricultural unit where he goes out and digs every day.
I'm not going.
Apparently, you can't refuse.
But what happens?
I don't know.
I'd love
Maybe
to
you
know.
get thrown in the hole. You get in solitary confinement because you...
They just want slave labor. That shit is so... I can't believe that's even a thing. Like, they have these dudes working for like 14 cents.
It's so crazy.
But, we reap the benefits of cheaper products because of it. So
we do.
We're all part of it.
It's disgusting. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, how disgusting our prison system is, but it's gross.
Yeah, that there's even for-profit...
prisons.
I'm sorry, I was burping. Yeah, that for-profit prisons.
Yeah, it's awful.
My brain didn't freeze. Sometimes my brain freezes like that, like for-profit, and I'll like blank out. But that was a burp.
Skips like a CD.
Yeah, every now and then it's like one of them CDs. It'll just
with a scratch on it,
and then you'll be like, "Fuck, I don't know what I was saying."
So Michael slipped into this like deep depression. He had gotten multiple appeals denied over the years, and he started accepting the fact that he'll never be free, just like Adnan started accepting the fact that he may never be free.
Well, you do have to adjust a little when you're in there, but you could keep saying, like, be very adamant about, like, I'm innocent, this is bullshit, if anyone ever talks to you about it.
Well, he was. So one night, Michael had a dream, or maybe it was a vision. He was laying in bed and he felt a warm, bright light surround him. He began to feel hope for the first time in a long time. And he said, this night changed his whole perspective. He felt like he had found God, and God told him, don't give up. So his longtime defense attorney turned his case over to the Innocence Project to review. They had much more resources, and his lawyer felt that the case needed like a fresh set of eyes to look at it and some more help. So the Innocence Project took it on, and they uncovered some crazy shit. I'm going to read you everything they found. This is directly from their website, innocenceproject.org, under his case, okay?
Okay.
Upon questioning the Mortons' neighbors, police were told that a man had repeatedly parked a green van on the street behind the Mortons' house and walked off into a nearby wooded area. Police records also indicated that Christine Morton's missing credit card had possibly been recovered in San Antonio, Texas, in a jewelry store, and that San Antonio officers stated that they could identify the woman who had attempted to use the card. There was also a bloody bandana found in the wooded area where the guy from the green van would walk into, and it was about 100 yards behind the house. According to the Mortons' defense lawyers, none of this evidence was ever turned over to them at trial. When defense attorneys learned that the prosecution did not plan to call Sergeant Don Woods, the chief investigator in the case, to the stand, they suspected that the prosecution might be concealing potentially exculpatory evidence. The defense raised this concern with the judge. They told the judge this, who ordered the prosecution to turn over all the reports by Sergeant Woods so that he could conduct a thorough review. But evidence concerning Eric's eyewitness account, the green van, Christine Morton's credit card were all absent from the records given to the judge. So that means all that stuff, a green van who was always parked, the neighbors talked about, the bloody bandana, everything was never even turned over to the judge for review.
So this was kind of like earlier you were talking about conviction over justice.
Yep.
Like he might have been an easy conviction.
Yep, exactly. And this is...
The green van makes him sound very innocent.
Yes.
And who said that there was a green van?
The neighbors.
Yeah.
The neighbors told police.
And were they telling police before she got murdered? Or was this after?
No, this was after she was murdered. The neighbors said, you know what? I did notice this green van. I didn't really think of anything of it, but now that this happened, like, it did park behind their house a few times.
And now, has it never returned there again since she was murdered?
I mean, I don't know that.
That's important.
Well, I
guess not, because they wouldn't have said that, because they would have been like, oh, the green van's still there.
Yeah.
Because if the green van still comes back, that means someone stop trying to fucking convict someone with their work van.
Yeah.
But obviously it doesn't come back now.
Yes. And a bloody bandana found 100 yards from the house.
Wait, whose blood was on the bandana?
Well, it was never tested.
Why?
Because they never even turned it over.
They didn't have science then.
Well, they didn't have DNA science back then. They didn't. But
Maury
they
probably
didn't
had
even
it.
bring it up. That's the point, Russ. The point is all these things they knew at the time and they didn't bring it up. Just like in Adnan's case, all these things they knew at the time and they never brought it up.
These people really need to disclose all the information and stop trying to get convictions. Like, try to get justice. It's not about convictions. That's so frustrating.
So frustrating. So in 2005, the Innocence Project got permission to test the DNA evidence because now, in 2005, DNA evidence can now be tested. They were denied the ability to test the bandana, but they were able to test the sheets on the bed. And of course, it confirmed that it was Michael and Christine's DNA found on the bed, but that makes sense because it's his bed.
Why wouldn't... I can't even... Like, what's the reason to deny the bandana?
I have no idea.
That doesn't make sense. It can't hurt to test it because if her blood's on the bandana, but then could have there been Michael that took the bandana out there? Probably not. But...
Well, 5 years after that, in 2011, Michael Morton was finally granted testing on the bandana. And hair from the bandana and a DNA testing lab reported that the bandana revealed both Christine Morton's DNA and the DNA of an unknown male. The unknown male DNA profile was ran through CODIS databank, the DNA databank that we have now.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, because I've been studying all this because I'm going to open the DNA shop with a 24-hour turnaround. And
Yes.
who's your daddy for like all the fatherless kids?
Yes.
Everyone knows this.
Yes. Well, it matched a man named Mark Norwood, who was a convicted felon from California, who had a criminal record in Texas, and who lived in Texas at the time of Christine Morton's murder. Further investigation by the lawyers and the Travis County District Attorney revealed that a hair from Norwood was also found at the scene of another crime, the murder of Deborah Masters Baker. Baker was, like Christine Morton, bludgeoned to death in her bed, and her murder occurred 2 years after Christine's murder.
It's him.
While Michael was in prison. So imagine being Deborah's family and how angry you would be at police and prosecutors, because if they would have actually conducted a good investigation and found this guy, your family member would still be alive.
Where is this guy while Michael is in jail? Is he free?
He was free until he got convicted of Deborah's murder.
Oh, so he was free. Because I was just thinking, if I was Michael, I'd be like, I hope this mother sucker's free.
No, he's not free now.
Because he
was convicted of this murder 2 years later.
We're going to have a meeting.
Well, I would be so pissed if I was Deborah's family. Because it's like, if you just would have done the right thing, my family member would be alive.
Yeah.
Michael was finally released from prison October 4th, 2011. And officially exonerated in December of 2011.
I knew he was innocent.
But Michael's fight didn't end there. He wanted to change the way cases like his are handled.
How long was he in jail?
He was in jail for 25 years.
Damn, man.
Mm-hmm. So on January 1st, 2014, Senate Bill 1611, titled the Michael Morton Act, was passed. And it changed the way Texas lawyers can utilize police discovery in criminal cases. So now, in Texas, a person who's charged with a crime and wants the discovery, they just have to ask for it. And now...
What's a discovery?
The police discovery is everything that police have on you, the whole case, all the records.
That's good.
Right? So if you're convicted of a crime in Texas now, or
so they
not
can't
convicted,
withhold any evidence.
If you're charged for a crime in Texas, all you have to do is ask for the discovery, and they have to provide it to you. It says the state must permit the defendant access to the discovery or produce the requested information as soon as practical after receiving a timely request from the defendant. And this is the law. It's called the Michael Morton Act, and he put this law in practice in Texas. Imagine if other states did that.
I can't believe that isn't a law.
No, it's not a law.
Well, I can't believe you need a law to get it, because that means they're just going convictions and not justice.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
It's bullshit. It's
total bullshit. But that's the exoneration of Michael Morton. And
damn, Mike.
I feel like this case had so many similarities to Adnan's case, like in that there was just Brady violations happening. There was, all this evidence that was withheld. And this poor guy spent over 20 years in prison for a crime. First of all, you lose your wife. Second of all, your kid doesn't want to talk to you anymore because they think you killed his mom.
I wonder how his kid is now.
Now they're rebuilding their relationship. They actually are in good terms, and his son, they've apologized and they're rebuilding a relationship.
Man,
with
I'd
each
still have
other.
a little resentment if I was the dad, but you got to let it go.
Yeah, you got to let it go.
Especially against the aunt.
He was a kid. Oh, I'm sure he probably still has resentment towards the aunt. I mean, maybe. Who knows? Maybe they're all healing from it.
Maybe people aren't as petty as me.
Yeah. So this case is featured in a couple documentaries. He also wrote a book about it. And
hopefully he got some money from the cops. You locked me up for 20 years with bullshit evidence with your defense attorney. Hopefully they gave him some money.
I hope
so
he got money.
Because obviously now he's not trained for a career. It's hard as hell to get a job. He has the work skills of someone coming out of high school that hasn't had a job before.
No, he worked as a manager of a supermarket. So he went to some college. He didn't finish college.
Yeah, well, they need to give him some money.
Yeah, they do.
or pay for
so.
school and whatever he wants. Something has to happen to catch him up to speed in his life.
I know. Well, when you hear him talk, I first heard about this case a few years ago on the show Wrongful Conviction with Jason Flom. I love that show.
I like flan. I go to Brisa's and I get a pané with rice and beans and some flan for dessert.
Well, his name is Flom, Flom. And Wrongful Conviction is one of my favorite podcasts. So I first heard about this case on that show. And then when you start looking into it, he does have a documentary that you can watch. And it's very interesting. But I'm just like, I love when people get out of horrible situations like Ellen Halbert did and Michael Morton, and they change laws. You know, like when you come out of a situation like that and you take your mess and you make it your message and you push for change, that's amazing to me.
I think it sucks that it always takes so long. It's always like after 20 years. It isn't like, all right, it's been a year. He's been in there. We figured out this evidence is bullshit.
Yeah.
Imagine a news reporter said that.
No,
that'd be much better. Like, good evening, folks. Now reporting from Eyewitness News Channel 7. Michael has been in there for a year. Judge says the evidence is bullshit. He is now free.
Maybe you should be a Russ reporter.
Judge, here comes the judge. You know who my favorite judge was?
Who?
Judge Wapner.
Who's that?
He was like the daytime judge back in the day before Judge Judy.
Really? I never watched that. I always watched Judge Judy was my first judge show.
Nah, Judge Judy got the booty. Anyone ever look her up?
Anyway,
Judge Booty got some cakes.
Who's Judge Wapner?
Look him up. Judge Wapner. He was like the daytime judge at first.
Wapner or Wapna? Are you saying "na" with your accent, or is it spelled with an A?
It's probably an ER.
Oh, okay.
Judge Wapner.
Okay.
I used to watch it with my nanny.
Oh, okay.
What was it? The People's Court.
The People's Court. Yeah.
Yeah, Judge Wapner.
Oh. Well, thanks for tuning back in to Wife of Crime.
And go look up pictures of Judge Judy in her little bodysuit.
Why?
It looks like she went and got a BBW.
Mean a BBL? You meant a BBL.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to the BBWs.
Wait, she went. You think she went and got a BBL?
Nah, she just got it like that.
How old is she now?
100.
Well, shout out to Judge Judy with the booty.
Yeah.
Judge Judy with the booty.
I was so surprised.
Really?
Yeah, you gotta look it up.
I'm gonna have to Google it now. That's so funny.
All right, folks. So that was it. Make sure you go to wifeofcrime.com, get some merch. Follow us at Wife of Crime Pod on Instagram. And it's probably Wife of Crime Pod on TikTok.
Yep. And Wife of Crime, the Crime Family on Facebook and patreon.com/Wife of Crime Pod.
And,
have a wonderful week.
Wind it up.
Bye.